Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Right now in Warzone, yes, the Black Ops 6 guns are clearly the definitive, more preferred meta options, right? The feel, the overall competitiveness of them in general is largely going to be more distinct and more obvious than that of an MW2 weapon or an MW3 weapon. But recently, Call of Duty and Raven have been updating the game a bit more to have some emphasis on MW2 and MW3 guns to make them a bit more competitive. And so that said, today, I wanted to break down some of the better older era weapons or older game weapons that are sort of off meta, but several of these truthfully can compete with even the better options that we've got now from Black Ops 6. I think one of the main drawbacks with a lot of the MW2, MW3 options is that we can't use gunfighter on these, whereas with Black Ops 6 we can get 8 attachments. These we're stuck with 5, but we can still make them work, especially when the core weapons themselves are as good as the ones that we're focusing on here today. For instance, the RAAL LMG with the Jack Protean kit. You may remember when this Protean kit was crazy during MW3 Warzone with the aftermarket part there. It's not as broken as it once was, but whether you're using this in full auto or semi-auto, this is truly a competitive option. The mid-range, the long range here with the TTK, surprisingly good, way better than you might initially realize. So by far the most important part of the setup is using this Jack Protean kit. The RAAL LMG by itself, yeah, not that crazy, but you put this on there, completely changes the way that the weapon performs, so that's a big deal there. I do go for the 2.5 times Eagle Eye personally, whether I'm again in full auto or semi-auto. Great mid to long range scope here, and that's where we're focusing on the gunfights with this weapon. Spirit Fire Suppressor going to work the same as all the other suppressors, extending out our range and our velocity. We end up with a 45 meter effective damage range, 923 velocity. Both of those are great stats for those types of fights. The 50 round extended mag here, again, full auto or semi-auto gonna be sufficient. Semi-auto, especially if you're exclusively solely using it in full auto, you want to upgrade to 100 just so you have more ammo. Not a bad choice. It's just going to be a little bit slower, obviously there. Then I went for the demo H40 stock, helps out a little bit with control, which is applicable for either fire mode there. But yeah, the Jack Protean kit RAAL is still pretty crazy, and you might not have realized it. Another option that actually surprisingly has one of the best TTKs in the game, not even just for an MW3 gun, but holding its own directly versus Black Ops 6 guns, is the Lachmann Shroud with its conversion kit, the Jack Decimator kit. Basically, it's a suppressed MP5, right? And this thing goes crazy. It is equal in TTK, basically, with all of the best Black Ops 6 SMGs. The feel is a little bit different, but if you're just simply looking for damage output, this thing is nuts. So the Jack Decimator kit, again, is going to be the most important part here, completely changing how this weapon behaves. It's no longer a burst, it's full auto instead. We do go for the Grapple 6 barrel. This is going to be an integrated suppressor barrel, essentially. So we're off the radar. It helps out with range, velocity, and control. That's huge. I mean, we're sitting at a 13 meter effective damage range. That's solid for an SMG. The velocity doesn't really matter for the close range either. Better control element's huge too. For the underbarrel, if you want control, you could go for any vertical underbarrel, like the skeletal, any of these, they'll all do the same stats. If you want mobility because you're comfortable with the recoil, anything like the hand stops will be great for ADS and sprint to fire, so you're more aggressive here. So simply pick your poison there if you want better control or better movement and mobility. 50 round extended mag, pretty self-explanatory, right? And then the mobile stock, it's going to help out some with some mobility. It's not going to be insane, but it's a little bit of something. There just aren't really other great options. Like the irons, I think, are pretty clean, but if you wanted to use an optic, you could swap the stock for that, a laser if you wanted to for better ADS and whatnot. But unfortunately, the old attachment systems, shining some here where the attachments aren't the greatest compared to BO6, but it gets the job done here. A little bit of a learning curve, but man, this thing can melt. And by the way, as we are breaking down all the weapons and setups here, if you enjoy the video, you find the info helpful, like rating is always really appreciated. Much love to everyone who takes the time to do so. And if you happen to be new to the channel, or maybe you have not subscribed yet, we should change that. Every single day, I got you covered with the latest news, updates, meta breakdowns, quite literally everything going on in COD is right here. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. Next up here, the TAC Eradicator. This was one of my favorite weapons throughout the past iteration of Warzone. It just feels fantastic. It's a great iron sight LMG, decently aggressive for an LMG as well. It's like not super bogged down or heavy or slow. It's relatively aggressive given its weapon category. Easy to use as well, and pretty competitive TTK throughout the mid to long range here. Like I said, I love the iron sight on this build. So I don't use an optic. I do go for Spirit Fire Suppressor, helping out our range and our velocity. Conquer 70 long barrel, giving us some idle sway, which is nice, not huge, but it's something, plus better velocity and range on there. I do also end up going for high grain ammo as well. No con here with the control or anything, just straight up better velocity and damage range. So we end up with over a 60 meter effective damage range, phenomenal. 1150 for our velocity as well, which is crazy good for that hit scan range. So this thing's gonna feel really reliable. Bow breaker underbarrel, same as any other vertical grip yet again, just helping out with that recoil control. And then also I go for the brute stock. stock, which is even more control here. The core stock's going to do a little bit as well. It's just a tad bit different in terms of the overall percentages there, but the brute stock, in my opinion, really good option. This is going to be a very easy to use, very reliable LMG, and one that's going to kill quick at the same time. So that's a win-win. Hey everyone, real quick, just want to give a shout out to my friends over at G Fuel. If you are looking to stay hydrated, energized, or focused, G Fuel is the #1 place to go. They've got so many different flavors depending on what you're looking for. Their hydration tubs and their brand new hydration sticks are phenomenal. So if you're just looking to sip on something, stay hydrated throughout the day, that's a great choice. They've also got their energy tubs and their cans as well. If you're looking to stay focused and energized, whether you're gaming, doing anything else, they've got you covered there as well. If you ever want to grab anything at all from the G Fuel site, be sure to throw in code IMMORTAL at checkout, and that'll save you some cash. Link for that will be down in the description below if you're interested. Now, the SVA obviously was a mainstay throughout MW3 Warzone, and it's still surprisingly good here in BO6 Warzone as well. The Hyperburst feature is a little bit funky this year, but even if you just want to go straight up full auto, this is an easy to use rifle, and it's TTK in like the closer area, the mid-range area, before its last damage drop off is wild. Like, this is a perfect rifle for resurgence, where you're fighting at, you know, 30, 40, 50 meters a lot, with the attachments on here extending out that first and that mid-range a little bit. It's so good. Like, it's actually one of the better options in the game for just aggressive gameplay and aggressive rifles straight up here. So in this case, my optic of choice, Nadar Model 2023. Love this for more aggressive, more mid-range based gameplay. Spirit Fire Suppressor yet again for the better range and velocity. Precision Barrel also extending out that range and that velocity on top of giving us some added control. And then high grain ammo again for range and velocity. We end up with the 51 meter effective damage range, 1085 velocity. Both fantastic for the general TTK. The hit scan range is going to feel consistent there. Lastly, 60 round extended mag, pretty straightforward, kind of self-explanatory there. But yeah, the SVA still going strong here in BO6 Warzone. Definitely slept on, but hey, if you used it, you know the vibes. This thing's nice. And then lastly here, the Holger. Again, a weapon that just can compete. It's going to be decently easy to use from the MW3 weapon feel perspective. It's TTK in the mid to long range, going to be right there with those other best Black Ops 6 rifles. So if you like the feel of this gun, you're going to be set up nicely because it's going to be able to be competitive with the other top choices here. 2.5 times Eagle Eye yet again for my optic, but if there's an option you prefer more, once more, feel free to rock that instead. Spirit Fire Suppressor, same as every other suppressor. If you want to change it up to make your weapons feel fancier, you like the look of a different suppressor, they're all doing the same stats, so it doesn't matter there. But range, velocity, extended, Krauss 6-match barrel, range, velocity, and control benefits there. With that on there, we end up with a 907 velocity, which is solid, 52 meter effective damage range as well, which is great there. Bow breaker underbarrel, vertical underbarrel, helping out with that control once more. Then the 40 round mag, this is the only downside of this, is that that's not a ton of ammo. The DPM's not awful because your rate of fire is only 588, but let's be real, 50 or 60 would be fantastic. 40 works, you just got to be mindful of that ammo supply as you are squad fighting there. But yeah, any of these options here today are fantastic choices. Truly, they can compete with the best options in the game, even though they're not an obvious Black Ops 6 weapon. So if you're looking to shake things up, spice up your gameplay a little bit, try something new, these are some choices that I'd recommend outright. That is going to wrap things up for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.